Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerd. It's your girl Maria Park. I know it's been a minute, but yeah, I'm finally trying to get back into the swing of doing streams again, which is as hectic as my life is right now. Insane, but I'm determined, guys. I am determined. And yes, we are doing our Stargirl series finale review. Just checking a few things, making sure my audio is coming through. Yes, it is. Awesome. I just got a new audio interface, so I want to make sure everything's working. I also have a new webcam because Black Friday deals. It's a thing. But yeah, I wanted to just basically come down and talk about, my thoughts, opinions, and then maybe talk about what you guys think about the series finale of Stargirl. I will say I am very annoyed that this show was canceled. I'm super annoyed by that. Now, I know that Arrowverse has been, not ticking a lot of boxes for a lot of years. Some of the production, value has gone down and the stories have been all over the place. Especially everyone knows my love for Crisis on Infinite Poop. So I do know that there was a lot to consider in terms of shows that were getting canceled. And so like I said, there's a lot going on, especially with the CW being sold and the new owners. And it's just, it's an effing mess. But I did not think that Stargirl was going to be one of the shows that ended up on the chopping block because it has actually been very good. Like, it came out of the gate in season 1 swinging. And, if you liked Infinity Comics, or basically the whole Infinity arc, you always got into these characters. Like, you understood where these characters were going to eventually end up, even with Stars and Stripes. So I I really feel like this show had its own voice. Now, did I think that they could have done things differently? Yeah. I mean, they de-aged the characters well, not Courtney, but they de-aged most of the characters. They did. And it's what the CW does. They have the whole villain rehabilitation program that's completely unofficial, but happens in every series. Every villain, our main villain, even if they've never reformed in the comics, are like team allies now. So I get that. Not saying, I will say this though, as much as I dislike that most of the time, I enjoyed the Crocs a lot. So when they were killed off this season, I was upset. Like, I really enjoyed what Tigress and Sportsmaster brought to their little team dynamic, because it was such, having members of the Justice Society, basically living next to their mortal enemies in the same town. I mean, I was here for it. So I don't know. I really feel like there was so much potential, and it was very, very, very clear to me that we were actually moving into Infinity, that this is the point where I'm annoyed. So, like, you're giving me what I finally have been asking for since season 1, and then you cancel the damn show. So, yeah, it is what it is. But let's talk about some of the things that happened in the series finale, because, there's a lot. Basically we have, and I think I even said this, guys, when we had the beginning, the season premiere of this series, or this season, I said I did not trust Sylvester. I said something was wrong with Sylvester. At first I thought he was the killer, which actually is not far, it's not, far off from the truth, because when the gambler died, I did say something was wrong with Starman. I just knowing that it's not actually Sylvester now, I mean, I actually like how they did it, because if you read the comics, that is pretty much verbatim, how Ultra Humanite had his brain basically actually his brain was put into Ultra Humanite. So, like, the whole transference of brains, that stuff actually happened in the comics. So they kept very true to some of the plots, which I really liked about the show. Um, and so having the scene where Sylvester is, like, brought back from the dead. I mean, he's literally Dr. Ito took his body from the grave, and him and Icicle reanimated his body so his brain would have function. And then while he was alive, they sawed his brain out of his head. I mean, oh my God, I can't even imagine that. I can't. I will say probably the sickest thing I've seen. Well, there's a lot of sick things in comics, but something that kind of resonates with me is close to this. And I can't remember if it was Ice Maiden or if it was Ice. I want to say it was Ice Maiden, so don't quote me on that. It's been a minute. Ice Maiden got kidnapped by this, like, these thugs who were working for this actress who basically wanted to be useful again. So they literally skinned her alive to give the woman her youthful skin. That's probably one of the sickest things I've seen in or read in comics. But and again, I'm probably forgetting a lot worse, but I'm just saying that just when I saw that, I'm like, "Oh, that's so reminiscent of what happened with Ice Maiden." So, um, but I feel like gosh, it just gives me the creeps. It gives me the creeps. Season 3 of Stargirl was a horror fest. Season 4 was just like, wow, they went there. Like, so I'm just, it is what it is. But then imagine him having his mind taken away from him and then put in a effing jar. And the last thing he says is, "Where's Stripesy? What did you do with Pat?" And I'm just like, wow, it's completely 180 for how he's been acting all season. But again, I don't know why Pat didn't see that something was going on with Sylvester. I mean, at the same time, I understand that he just came back from the dead. He wasn't finding himself. He was no longer Starman. The rest of the JSA, they're pretty much gone. So, like, I guess for Pat, unless this is how he always talked to him in the past, maybe having Sylvester talk to him like his father did, we saw his father, how Pat's father talked to him. Maybe that was just his new normal and he just was used to it. Or maybe Pat's just been dumped on for so long that he just kind of just rolls with it, which brings me back to this specific question. Now, I'm always going to find flaws and stuff, even stuff that I like, but Pat was shown to have a very dark side. Like, if you remember when Rick's uncle was being what he was, and he was in the hospital and, they were going to put Rick in jail, Pat closed the blinds to the hospital room and started torturing him. And so we see that Pat had that darkness in him, but they didn't play more on it in this season, which is interesting because, like, when he found out that Sylvester wasn't really Sylvester and, he first showed up in Stripe and pretty much, would just say the ultra humanite, because basically what it is when he basically starts taking out, basically taking, or not really dismantling it, but making it so, you know, Stripe wasn't effective against him. And so they were fighting fist to fist. I was expecting, like, Pat to rage, like, when he was punching him in the face, I was expecting him to rage. I wasn't expecting him to need Courtney's help in a little bit. So, I don't know. I guess I would have loved to seen that as Pat's dark hour because they've been playing up, like, this sidekick thing and how bad it is to be the sidekick, this whole time. So, I don't know. I just think that that's interesting. It's very, very interesting that he didn't have to have his darkest hour because this, I mean, to be fair, when they filmed this, they probably didn't know this was their last season. So whatever plans they had for Dark Pat are out the window like everything else, unfortunately. But, I'm still here for it. It wasn't an unsatisfying result with him, but it's just I really wish we had gotten to see a little bit more with Pat. But my girl Barbara showed up. What? I was like, the whole time that Paula was trying to teach this woman to fight, how to use the arrow, and she wasn't able to hit anything, which again, one of the tragedies of this show is Paula and Barbara. I effing loved their friendship. I thought it was absolutely adorable. I know that sounds weird for a villain and a woman who doesn't really, she's kind of like the support of the team and the mother of Stargirl, but it's like I really loved Barbara and Paula whenever they had shared scenes. I thought they were so funny. And I hate that she's gone because I know for a fact if Paula had been there, she would have been whooping A because she finally got a friend. And we saw how protective she was of Barbara when the boss, like Barbara's manager or boss or whatever it was at work, was giving her a hard time. And Paula waited for Barbara to go home and pay the little man a visit. And he straightened up like 180, like really quick. So I really love their relationship, and I hate they were killed off. I'm just gonna keep stressing that's one of the tragedies of this show. I hate the Tigerson Sportsmaster were killed off. But it is what it is. But Barbara, my girl, was like, Jordan's getting ready to kill Courtney, and she shows up with her little crossbow, and she's like, "Get your ass away from my daughter," basically. And I'm like, yes. I guess as a mother, I get it. The one time you would lash out if someone's trying to hurt your child, so I get it. Props to Mama Barbara. I'm very proud. She is not just going to sit on the sidelines. She was going to get one in. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it. I'll talk about Courtney and Cameron probably a little bit later, because that is something else. But there's just so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about. Okay, so I wanna talk about the small things first. Little small things. Like Yolanda and her mother. I am convinced that Yolanda the rest of Yolanda's family is just gone because we never saw the father again. We've never seen the little brother who was her only supporter in the whole damn house. We've never seen the grandmother again since season 1. The only person we've seen was her mother, and her mother was a complete biatch to her. I mean, she's the poster woman of not being a mother, of being an anti-mom. So it's interesting that Yolanda, in this calls her mother like, the last episode she calls and says, "I love you, mother," and in this episode, she's like, "A secret seems to bring, everybody else closer to their family, so I figure it will work with us." And I'm thinking, what in your history with your mother made you think that that was gonna go down a certain way? Because Beth's parents were supportive. They started off as helicopter parents, but they still loved their child. They didn't, force her to do things she didn't wanna do. They didn't ground her, and make her feel like crap about herself because she sent a picture of herself topless, to Brainwave Junior in season 1, and basically everything else you've done, making straight A's, community service, church, having a job, nothing else mattered to her. You sent that. You are a slut, and I don't have a slut for a daughter. That's literally how her entire family but her brother treated her. And so why do you think your mother's gonna be like, Yolanda? Oh, yes, I support you being wildcat. No. Like, that's crazy. Like, I mean, my heart goes out to the girl. Obviously, she continues to do it because we have a 10-year time skip, which we'll talk about in a second, but I don't understand that. I don't understand that at all. Yolanda, you shoulda just let that ship sail and just I understand that your mama, let it sail. Let her come to you, apologize for being, what she is before you start giving her the big news. I don't understand that. I digress. Um, Jakeem and his crush on Cindy. So I love the scene where, Mike and Jakeem find Cindy and, they're trying to help her fight pretty much her dad, because her dad is actually in the Ultra Humanite's body. Because, Dr. Ito is just effing insane. And I love how she's doing all the like heavy lifting and fighting, and Mike and Jakeem are trying to figure out a good way of getting, Thunderbolt to help with this situation because you got to be direct, but you can't be too direct. It's that's what I love about Thunderbolt. You never really know what you're getting when you think you're wishing for something. But I love that the final wish was Jakeem saying, basically he wants to protect the most beautiful girl in the world. And he's like, but what if he doesn't think she's the most beautiful girl in the world? And he's like, I think she is. And then you see like the power of Jakeem come out as he basically influences what Thunderbolt's going to do, which happens in the comics. And I'm glad we finally got to F and see this because we did not have that opportunity. We had a one and done, basically. This was it. They brought out the big guns with how cool Jakeem is. But yeah, I just think, I don't know. I love how my daughter's in her saying, "I'm in pain. What do I do for lunch?" You pray about it, baby. That's what you do. You pray about it. I will deal with your lunch after the stream. I promise you, sweetie. But anyway, so yeah, the whole thing with Jakeem just I really liked how that played out. So I was extremely impressed that we got to see that power up. Because I mean, yeah, I mean the Thunderbolt and Jakeem are very cool together. In the comics anyway. And I do like the little kid they cast for him. And I'm saying little kid because I'm in my 40s, guys. I can do that. Um, but yeah, I really wish we got to see more of Jakeem and Thunderbolt. But again, it's not their fault. They didn't know they didn't have more season. So that's what it is. But how funny is it that Dr. Ito is now a damn plushie? Like, he turned him into a damn plushie because Thunderbolt can't kill, but he can F up your world. Like, and honestly, Dr. Ito's probably wishing for death right now, especially in the scene where they're all getting together at dinner and the family dog, is playing with the plushie. And, and Cindy's just got a smile on her face like, ha. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Mike, we know, goes on with the 10-year time skip. He goes on to be Stripe 2. That's fine. I mean, if you read Stars and Stripes, he was training to be that anyway. So that was completely comic accurate. So I had no problem with that. He's on the team. He gets to fly his big robot. I wish we knew what happened to the parents, but again, I digress. I know they mentioned having sand on the team. I mean, they picked out, kind of obscure people, but I wish they were like, "We're Infinity Inc." They didn't say that. They still said JSA, and it irritates me because they are Infinity Inc. But it is what it is, you can't it's the CW or Arrowverse. I can't expect too much, honestly. But I did like the fact that all of them were on the team. We even had Cindy on the team. I hate we did not get to see Obsidian in hero action mode. I would love to see because Jade and Obsidian were part of the team. I would have loved to have seen that. We do know that they become team members. They mentioned some cool shit, which we'll talk about battles that they fought, which are comic accurate. I know they even I think they name dropped Doctor Weird, yeah, Pat even talked about Doctor Weird from Golden Age, just as well, actually more Starman, years. So I think that we got a lot of, like, Easter eggs, which for comic fans, if you're into that, it was cool. But again, it's still interesting that we never got to see the entire team in action. Now I'm gonna kinda go off the rail for a minute and I'm just gonna say this. Now, I know that Courtney's actress or Courtney's character, should I say, is going to be on, I believe it's Titans? It's either Titans or Doom Patrol. I don't remember which one, or maybe both. I don't know. I know they're gonna be doing, like, a crossover that way instead of a traditional Arrowverse. But I don't think that's why we saw Jay come, because like, we see Jay Garrick show up, or the Flash show up at the very end, because the Shade is, like, giving tours, which I think is so funny. He's giving JSA tours, talking about the table and all that, which is so funny from an ISA member to a JSA, like, historian. I thought that was hysterical. But, like, Jay shows up and he's like, "Hey, Courtney sent me back to the past, to try and get everybody to come and help. So everybody is needed, yada, yada." And I'm like, but there's no more season. There's no series left. And I'm like, that pisses me off because what if that's what season 4 was going to be? If season 4 was going to be them actually going to the future, that would have been effing cool. And we don't get that. I'm kind of hoping that their crossover or the crossover is not just going to be Courtney's act or Courtney's character, and maybe some of the other ones are going to come with her. But I don't know because I haven't been keeping up with what's going on in terms of the crossover. But I just really God, it's such a missed effing opportunity, and it irritates me because that would have been very, very cool to see, you know, in a series and go into the future, but we don't get it. We did get to know some things, like, now I've been telling you guys, and you'll know this because I did a Doctor Midnight Spotlight video on my channel about a year ago. Rick and Beth are together in the comics. They were up until in the comics, spoiler alert, Beth and Yolanda both get killed, which is a whole other conversation. And that's something I think they obviously were doing in this version. Different Earth, different universe, blah blah blah. So I love that, and I've you've kind of been seeing that Rick always is very in tune with Beth. He always talks to Beth. They always confide in each other because when you look at the actual structure of the team, Courtney was best friends with Yolanda, and it's like Rick was closer to Beth. So it didn't shock me when they announced 10 years from then that they were going to be engaged and they were getting married, basically. So I knew Hourglass and Dr. Midnight were going to be married because they had a whole relationship in the comics. I mean, that was the thing. So they were adults, Like I said, every time I see Beth's mother in this show, I'm like, that is Dr. Midnight. And that's just what it is. That was Dr. Midnight. And then just having the parents take on, Hootie, like just having their parents take on the names of notable Dr. Midnight, allies. It's just the whole thing to me was just awesome. I mean, honestly, I would have loved to seen a spin-off series with just Dr. Midnight and with Hourglass and the parents, kind of like as the sidekicks. I think that would have been really cute. But I do love that he went and apologized to Beth's parents because they were trying to help him and, because he was juiced up on the Hourglass, not having any type of, restrictions now. He was an a-hole. And he's like, I would like to he literally said, I would like to say that it was just this, but I was a jerk, So, and they accepted him, and they're all like talking about being, basically the parents were going to be both of their sidekicks, which already tells you they're already planning for their wedding 10 years from now, even though they didn't show them romantically at that time. I mean, it's pretty obvious. is pretty obvious. I do love the fact that they stayed comic accurate to that. I would have liked it to have been fleshed out more in actual season, where you actually show them having a crush or Beth having a crush on him or whatever. But, it is what it is. Unfortunately, only Courtney got to have the little romantic fling. So it is what it is. But I do love that they kept that. So that is a plus. Um, Courtney. So first of all, I love Courtney's connection to Cosmo. And I love the fact that Courtney still doesn't get that she has a connection to Cosmo, because she's like, the only reason that the fake Sylvester was even able to control this staff this entire time is because you believed you weren't worthy of it and that this Starman was. And the moment she was like, nah, this thing is mine, Cosmo came back. And I love that it took her mother telling her that, which I hate. One thing I will say that I always hate about superhero shows or movies, and I think you will follow my logic with this. Remember in Spider-Man 3, Tobey Maguire, and you went through this whole trilogy with Harry being angry at Spider-Man because he killed my father, right? And then almost before all the shiz is going to hit the fan, Harry's at home brooding, and here comes a butler. Oh, I cleaned your father's wounds that night, and I know that he did not die by Spider-Man's hand. It was self-inflicted. And I'm like, you couldn't have said this shit. You could not have said this the past two movies. Like, that's how I feel. When Barbara told her, well, by the way, now to play devil's advocate, Courtney didn't ask her mom, but Barbara could have been like, Heifer, the staff's not listening to you because you don't believe it's going to listen to you. Have some faith in yourself. Believe in yourself, and Cosmo will come back. And I'm just like, why did you not tell her this 3 episodes ago? So, whatever. I'm just, just what it is. It's just what it is. But yeah, the whole thing with Cosmo and her finding herself, I thought was cool. I could tell they were running out of money in this show because normally they have that really cool move that Starman does where he uses the staff to power himself up and they shoot up in the air and then come down and attack. And they didn't do it in the series finale. I thought they were going to do it because we've seen her do it twice. But, they were like, well, this is pretty much it. We're just going to go, why bother, I guess. So we didn't get to have that last moment, which would have been really cool. But, she got the staff back. It is what it is. The McKents, I already knew the McKents were going to go down like this. I knew that, and I don't know why, I just knew. I knew that the grandfather was not going to play games. I mean, he's been like on this whole trajectory of trying to get his wife to calm the hell down, because the mother is probably why Jordan's crazy, because she's crazy. She has no problem killing people. She's like, they killed that teacher. And I love how they finally, because in my last review, I talked about the fact that art teacher got killed and nobody talked about it. And now they're finally like, we don't know where the teacher is. And then they go to a funeral for him or whatever, or, and it's just like, but your grandmother killed him, and I love how the grandfather is like talking to him like, good and well, you did that shit. Stop lying to this boy, and she's like getting really, really annoyed with the husband. Now, this is what bothers me about this. Okay. So when they fought the JSA juniors last time and he got hurt, the grandmother was like all in her feelings. She's like, oh no, my husband, blah, 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 blah. Then her son, the golden boy, is found to be alive. And now, the grandfather was fighting again, or was going to fight against, of course, Dr. Midnight. Dr. Midnight's goggles were about to go into like fight mode, which was cool. Would have been really cool to see. But she didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight. So she's like, you got to convince them. Let's stop, let's get them to stop this shit, basically. And the grandmother was willing to kill it. Actually was trying to kill him. And Yolanda came by, our Wildcat ran across like these cars, and then she gets smushed by a car. And I love how Yolanda's like, I didn't do it. But no, I'm like, what happened? I thought this was your husband of like 40, 50 years. Why are you so okay now with him dying and you killing him? That's what I'm saying. That woman she wasn't wired right. There was something wrong with her. Honestly, though, that's how Killer Frost should have been, in my opinion, in The Flash, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so she's gone. Icicle kinda got away for a minute. Sylvester is in a coma because they're trying to figure out where his brain well, they implied the brain is gone, but we see it in a jar. I don't know if it's in Tibet or wherever the hell the other location is, mountainside, whatever. But there is a jar with basically Sylvester's brain repeating that same thing. Where's Stripesy? Where's Pat? And then screaming because they're cutting his head they're sawing his head open, which is fucking horrible. I just can't get over that. I'm sorry. Um, but I do see you guys in the comments. I'm gonna get to them in a second. But I guess for me, it's just like I don't know, I just feel like that there was just it's just weird. It's completely weird, like, everybody's outcomes outside of the kids, but I have to talk about Icicle because Icicle so Icicle really thought he got away. And my girl Artemis was like, "Let me show you my genes." That girl was like, "By the way, the stuff on the ground is a special brew by my dad. It's pretty flammable, so that means that you can't even escape it." And she literally kills Icicle, and she has this cray-cray look on her face, and I'm like, "Artemis." But, I mean, I knew it was gonna happen. She's got too much of her parents in her. She was not gonna let them get away with that, or let him get away with that. So, she got revenge for her parents. I know Courtney and them are pretty mortified by it. I don't remember if they ever discussed at the end what happened to Artemis. I don't think she ever joined the JSA, which is she isn't in the comics, but I just feel like I don't know, this is the villain rehabilitation program, so I would just assume that it would happen. I'm hoping she still went to college, but I don't know, because that I think that was 3 months after the event, so 3 months later is when she killed Icicle, and then 10 years later, we got the time skip, and we did see that Icicle, Cameron, is now part of the JSA as well. And that whole thing was interesting. Cameron is a very interesting character to me because I feel like he's so easily manipulated because he wants to be manipulated. He doesn't wanna think for himself because it's hard. That's what I get from Cameron's character, and so him buying into his dad's shit and all that, I mean, that makes complete sense because it's easy. Um and when he finally starts helping Courtney, and then, he's like, "My grandfather's, not well. I have to go take care of him, and then I'm leaving." And then we see everybody having the dinner, and Courtney's not there, and she's going by the McKent's house, and of course, there's like snowflakes coming down, and it's Cameron, and they did a little embrace thing, and he's like, "Are you sure you can help me?" Which obviously happens because they're together in the future. Not comic accurate at all, because that's not who she ends up with, or at least he's not. I don't even think like Icicle Jr. is someone she even dated. Because I remember she dated Shazam. That whole thing was hysterical because people thought that it was an underage relationship because they didn't realize he was really a 16-year-old at the time, making himself older. She's had a lot of boyfriends, should I say. So, but I'm pretty sure Icicle Jr. was not one of them. So, again, villain rehabilitation program. But in this version, obviously it works out because they're still together 10 years in the future. So her very first boyfriend becomes I don't even know if they're married. I mean, we know Beth and Rick are getting married, but I don't even know if Icicle and Courtney are engaged or getting married because we don't have that information. So it's interesting considering technically they would have been a couple longer than Beth and Rick, but it is what it is. But I mean, again, I do like the fact that he came and saw the light. It seems like that's what happened because that's exactly what happened with Brainwave Jr. and Yolanda. So that's a thing. Um, I do love how everybody was like, when everyone was first initially at the house, all of them realizing that Sylvester really wasn't helping them. Breath was like, I literally blew off my parents, because he told me to. And Yolanda's like, yeah, and I gave Cindy a hard time without even, letting her, have the benefit of the doubt. And then Rick's like, yeah, and I took the limiter off because he told me I should. He's like, everyone's like putting the pieces together. Like I'm like, you guys are slow. Like, but back to Beth though, how cute was it when she was asking her parents to be her sidekicks and they were like, hell yeah. I thought that was really funny. Um, but yeah, all in all, I did enjoy the series finale only because we did get the time skip. I'm just annoyed because with the Flash showing up now, it's like It's like the entire story had such a well thought out future plot that we're never going to freaking get, and it's so annoying. And then I read, because I kept getting confused, they kept advertising Stargirl as the season finale, not series finale, and then I read that the reason they did that is because they were being very cheap. The new owners were like, "Well, we already had all this material made, so why would we go ahead and pay extra to have it edited for series finale?" I'm like, "You guys are just messed up. You guys are messy." Um, but no, I really, really did enjoy the series finale though, and I know it's not gonna happen, but I do wish that somebody picked it up. Maybe not. I would've said HBO Max, but considering the stuff that's going on with that network, I don't think that that's a good idea anymore. But I do think that it has potential to do very well, and it's one of those, issues or where I obviously wish this wasn't right now a DC show. I wish it was a Marvel show, and maybe we get something on Disney Plus, but it's not happening. I know where it's not happening. But it's a thing. Now I wonder, I have other questions. I do wonder how Artemis afforded to go to New Amsterdam to kill, Icicle because, like, maybe they had some money stashed away, but she was underage, right? And she's 17? She was going to college, but, like, who was taking care of Artemis? Like, I know Barbara went to the house and hugged her, but then Artemis was just, like, MIA. And for and outside of that scene, she's MIA. So I have no idea what happened to Artemis in the end, because I do remember they talked about, sand, damage was on the team. I don't know if they actually mentioned anybody else, honestly. But they did bring up fighting Nebula Man, which I thought was really effing cool, and they did say, "Oh, and they saved the 7 soldiers of victory." I'm like, "About damn time," because we talked about them in season 1, and they never came back. I mean, there's no reference. It's like, what happened to them? Well, we know that they saved them off screen, so we never got to see the whole 7 soldiers of victory. We didn't get to see the Nebula Man, which would have been very cool. So they do have the Easter eggs that they dropped, which I was excited to hear, but then sad because we were never gonna have that. So that's what I'm saying. When you cancel shows that even if it's only loosely, but they follow a comic track, meaning we start identifying these characters that were actually in their universe. I'm not talking about when we're looking at, Arrow, where Arrow was taking all of Batman's villains and, that's a whole other conversation. It's just a whole other conversation. I'm talking these characters were in the same universe and had connections for the most part to Stargirl. And so it made so much sense. And when they would come in, it was very cool because it's like, okay, you're doing your own thing, but I know this character. And I know that they were a part of this universe. And it was cool. So when shows like that get canceled, you get really effing annoyed. And that's how I feel. I am very effing annoyed. The Flash had 9 seasons. This is their 9th damn season. And we only got 3 with this one. And it's irritating. It does also make you wonder the future of Superman and Lois. Because with Henry Cavill being confirmed as coming back as Superman for the live action, they may not have the budget to do the TV show and, the movies. So we may be losing Superman and Lois after this season too, which is I don't even know when it's coming out. I don't even think they have a release date yet. So that's a thing. When Superman and Lois is gone, there are no Arrowverse shows left on the network, which is what I think their goal is. They're trying to get rid of all of the superhero shows to cut their budget so they can do their stupid reality shows format. And I don't know. It just annoys the hell out of me. I'm trying to think if I left anything out. I probably did. But they did talk about Pat and Barbara took Mike to go see his mom working at the diner. So we did get to see that. So that little mention, because I thought we weren't going to have that when Pat was mentioning that, and he was talking to the Shade, and he talked to Barbara about the fact that he didn't want Mike to hate him for not showing him his mother who was strung out on drugs. Well, we at least got some closure on that. So Mike did get to go see his mother. And the whole conversation between Courtney and Pat also, they heard each other. So Pat did hear Courtney say that he's her dad. And, Pat did hear Courtney defending him. And so, they got to kinda have that little moment, which I thought was very cute, and I love Cosmo choosing the old-fashioned crate instead of the big fancy crate, that, Sylvester had or fake Sylvester had. But I guess, Sylvester's just gonna be in that jar. Because I mean, if you really think about it, they fast forwarded 10 years. Did anyone mention getting the brain out of the jar? Like, nobody mentioned him finding his brain. So as far as I'm concerned, they never got Sylvester back. He's been in the coma for 10 years. Um, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what was gonna happen when Jay came back. Maybe he was taking him back to undo some of that stuff. I don't know. All I do know is that, that didn't happen, and we had, I think Grundy was mentioned, Rick going to see Grundle's burial site or something like that, and if I'm remembering correctly. So that confirms that Grundy is dead. Um, but no, no, he wasn't, because there was a green arm hanging out the ground. So no, Grundy's not dead. He actually mentioned him that he was part of the team. Ignore that. So Grundy is alive. Yeah, I'm doing all this from memory. So I'm pseudo impressed with myself. I'm pseudo awake. But yesterday was my birthday, guys. So, I'm a little out of it. I'm another year on top of the 40. So, we're middle-aged 40s now. So it's definitely catching up with me. I'm feeling my age, guys. Although I do play Sims 4. If you follow me on Facebook, you heard me say this yesterday. I am de-aging myself, so it's fine. All right. Let me look at some of these beautiful comments that you guys have on here. Hello, Bobby Coltrane. There's a lot of neglect when I came to that series. I started with a lot of promise that it just tanked. I don't know. I know there was a lot of things that I complained about, but most of the things I complained about were more about the family dynamics because I've always had a problem with how Pat treated Mike. Because he almost treated him like a stepchild. Like he was not the bio child. So I did have a problem with that. Although I did love how Barbara treated Mike. And then I've always had a problem with Yolanda's family, and then let's be clear, all of their families sucked in the beginning, like, Rick's uncle's an ass, and, Beth's parents were so involved in work, they didn't spend any time with her, they were helicopter parents. It wasn't until she became Dr. Midnight that they even got together, and pretty much as far as I'm concerned, it saved their marriage because they were gonna get divorced because they didn't have time for each other. So yeah, there are issues of that nature, but, like, for the most part, I do think that they did a pretty good job in terms of introducing characters into the universe. Do I wish that Jade got to use her ring more? Hell yeah. Do I know that it costs a lot of money? Yep. And when you think about it, even though she is a very big part of Infinity Inc., they probably should not have had her in this, because if they couldn't afford a Green Lantern, they should have never had a Green Lantern, and that's how I feel about that. But I guess, it started off with I think it was DC Universe or DC, whatever the app was called, and then it actually came over to the CW at Arrowverse, and I think that's when the budget got smaller, and so that I think they were very ambitious in the beginning, and then when we got the Arrowverse involved, that's when they're like, "Can't do that, can't do that, can't do that," which is very constricting, I know. I haven't seen the second half of the season, sorry, I'll have to talk to you about that in the comments. Alright, Jermaine, that's fine. Girl, I was so proud of Barbara. I know, right? Aimed icicle. I was like, "Thank you, Barbara." I mean, because this whole time she's like, "I can't hurt anybody. I can't hurt anybody." I'm like, "Girl, you better know what universe you're in because they can hurt you." Um, the horror Sylvester experience, that was brutal. That a whole the fact that you heard him screaming and you hear I mean, that's just I mean, how effed up is that you basically get killed by Icicle, then he brings you back to life, and then he freaking saws your damn head open. That's some bullshit. I'm like, I'm sorry. That's bull. It took it looks like they were heading towards um before cancellation. I I really think season 4 was gonna be amazing, honestly. I hate that we're not having season 4. I think season 4 was gonna be their best. They're gonna whip all the stuff out in season 4. We're probably gonna get Jade and Obsidian. We're probably gonna meet Damage and Sand. We're probably gonna have all of these things that led up to their 10 years. Man. I'm so in my feelings of all the stuff we didn't get to do. Like, the Calypso season in season 2 was effing cool. I'm sorry. It was like a damn horror movie. I loved how they pulled off season 2. Season 3 started off a little slow, I know, but I mean, you have to understand you're coming off of something like season 3, I mean, season 2. That material was really dark. And so this is more like the recovery phase and all of the kind of fallout of all the stuff from season 2. So, I mean, I get why they started that way, but it's like, I feel like maybe they could have added a little bit more. Like we did get Mr. Bones. We got a bunch of stuff with the Helix Foundation. We got stuff that we could have looked forward to. But unfortunately, all of that stuff was nixed when they decided to cancel the show. And I know they're probably sitting there saying, "Damn, we had some good plans." I know I'm working on my own motion comic series or webcomic, technically motion comic and webtoon series. And, me and my actors like sometimes I have to cut things because when you're actually having the artists are making things, you don't want to overpopulate stuff. And I know just having some this had recently happened. I had to cut a scene out that one of my actors had already recorded, and they're like, "No," and I'm like, "I know, but I can't. I don't have room to put it in. Maybe I can just do it in the future." And then I keep thinking, what would it be like if I just decided, or if something happened and I couldn't do it anymore? Then that what I cut out would never see the light of day. And I was like, that didn't sit right. It doesn't sit right with you as a creative person when you're creating your own stuff. So it's like, I get it. I get it. I get it a lot. Plus, guys, I'm a voice actor, so this stuff happens to me all the time. I'll record stuff and sometimes it makes it in, sometimes it doesn't, of like the final product. So yeah, it's a thing. So I just my heart goes out to anybody creative, and even on shows I was not happy with, like even with Batwoman, I never wished anything bad on any of the crew or that. I didn't like the writing at all. I thought the writing was crap, but I do respect the fact that people are putting their vision out there, even if I don't agree with their vision. So it must suck to have somebody come along and be like, "Hey, I'm scrapping it." So that is sucky. So yeah, that's a thing. Thank you. What is your favorite character from the entire series, and what are the future storylines you're, sad to see that we'll never get to develop? Well, first of all, Nebula Man was cool. I really would love to see how they pulled that off. I really wanna see Nebula Man. Um, Favorite character? Well, my favorite character is in the entire well, I won't say Infinity Inc. So in this version of Infinity Inc., because I know that's not what they are, my favorite character is Dr. Midnight. I've always loved Beth. I love Beth Chapel in the comics because Beth Chapel, if you've seen, she was a brilliant surgeon, very, very brilliant strategist. She was just all around cool. And so I loved her in Infinity Inc. It's always been a toss up between her and Yolanda for me because Yolanda had a very interesting backstory in the comics, in that she's really one of the only few metahumans on the team. Because she's not in this version, but she was a metahuman. Her mom was, like, experimented on by her, like, gynecologist, and, like, she had these feline attributes. So when her godfather was the original Wildcat, who that's how she even got the suit, and so she went through a lot of stuff, and then she ended up getting killed with Beth, which is a whole other thing, but, like, I've always loved Yolanda's kinda journey, and I've always loved Beth, especially Beth and Rick's journey, because Beth was literally the anchor, because Rick would lose his shit all the time. And so and he I don't think it was a limiter problem. He ended up getting, like it was, like, radiation exposure from, the hourglass, and it was to the point where Beth had to come up with a serum to save his life. It was pretty bad. But I did like that, and plus Beth was one of, like 5, 7 she had, like, 3 or 4 or 5 brothers, and her dad was, like, a minister, and her mother was, like, a stay-at-home mom. So, like, that whole dynamic was funny because you got in this version, she's got these, like, 2 professional, always into their career parents, and then her mother in this version is basically who she was in the comics, and then in the actual story, in the comic books, her mother was a homemaker, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's a hard job, but I just thought that was very interesting, like, the dynamic switch, so yeah. But I love those 2 probably the best out of everybody, but they've had a lot of characters that have come, like, in and out that I've always thought they were pretty cool too. There's a lot of storylines, like, a lot of storylines with Infinity Inc. that I think they could've really done well with. I probably should do, like, a video, but I'm so behind on my videos right now, so I don't wanna promise another one. I'm still trying to get you some of the ones I haven't been able to get completed now. It's a thing. It is a thing. Uh, um Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else though, because I know that with Stargirl, I mean, I really wish somebody would pick them up. Like, seriously, I really wish, like, some network would just say, "Hey," even if it was only for season 4. I know we know the outcome of these characters now because they did it, but I would love to I mean, even if they were doing, like, specials, like, I wanna see how they saved the 7 Soldiers of Victory. I wanna see how they fought Nebula Man. You wanna see this. We wanna see how Cindy acclimated fully onto the team because she was at the dinner, But, and I wanna see if Jakim's crush went anywhere with Cindy, just things like this, I just wanna see how we progress from here to there, and I wanna know what happened with Pat and Barbara, in the end, like, where are they 10 years from now? What are they doing? Because if Stripe 2 is on the team, that means that Pat is retired. So what is he doing? Is he just running a garage? What is Barbara doing? Is Barbara now head of her, company, or what's happening? Are they still in Blue Valley? I mean, what's happening? I really want to know, and I want to see Rick and Beth's wedding. So so much I want to see, like so much. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks when your favorite shows get canceled, and there's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. It is a pain in the butt. Um, yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got, guys. Not bad, 48, almost 50 minutes. I'm doing good, guys, with my stream today, right? I guess. I know you guys that are my LGBTQ plus fellow people are asking me, because you have been asking me on Instagram and Messenger, if I'm going to be reviewing the rest of the L Word season 3. Yes, I am. Generation Q. I have not watched Sunday's episode. Full disclosure, I'm gonna have to do an update video on you guys. I don't know if I'm doing it today and what's going on in life. But, the estate stuff from my dad is still in full swing. I mean, they told me it would be 3 or 4 months. It looks like it's gonna be 12 to 13, maybe even 14 months before all of this is done. It is completely insane what you go through. And then I told you guys of some other stuff that's happening along with that. So all of the stuff, more stuff has happened since my last stream, which is why I've been thrown off. So there's that. And then I'm also a voice actor, and I just got cast as a reoccurring character in something, which normally I get smaller characters or I'll get like a video game, so it's not that involved. But this one has been like ongoing. This may be a 2-year thing. So I'm recording a lot. So because of that, I'm in here, but I'm always working. So, mama's gotta make that money. So yeah, that's what's been kind of slowing me down. It sucks because I've been watching things to try and review, but I'm trying to find time to make the videos or to do a live stream on it. I'm 2 episodes away from finishing Wednesday finally. I know that just came out. Unfortunately, I'm not done, so I can't talk about it because I haven't finished watching it yet, so there's that. I'm also not through with Warrior Nun season 2, so yeah, I am not being able to talk about that. People are asking me about Black Adam and Wakanda Forever, so because of where I live in Memphis, and because of all the crime, if you don't know about crime in Memphis, Tennessee, Google it. You will see my problem. I used to see all of my new movies at the drive-in, but there was a pretty bad shooting at the gas station down the street from it, and I would be passing this area, which is not the best area to come home, around midnight, and it's just not safe, so I don't wanna do it anymore, so now I have to wait for everything to stream, and that effing sucks. So I have not seen Wakanda Forever, and I'm trying not to read anything about it. I don't wanna be spoiled because, I don't want to be spoiled. And so I have not seen that. Black Adam may be coming out digitally soon, so I'll be able to watch it. I have not seen anything about it. I haven't even watched reviews, but somebody in my last stream said that it sucked, so I'm assuming that it did. I don't know. Hey, Serenity. But I don't know if that's true or not. I try to make my own decisions on whether I like something or not. I don't let the masses tell me how to feel. So I will check it out objectively just to see if I like it or not, and if I don't, I will definitely let you guys know. But I have not seen Black Adam, and I have not seen Wakanda Forever, and that's because I don't wanna go to theaters, and I don't wanna go to the drive-in because 'cause I've had COVID once, and it was very hard on my immune system because I have an autoimmune condition, and I am not trying to ever get COVID again. So, no, I'm not gonna sit in a movie theater with people. People here just cough all over you now. They don't even wear masks. They never wore masks here hardly anyway, but it is real here. So I'm not doing it. So that means I have to wait, unfortunately. Um, you said Black is it already out digitally? Okay, so it is out digitally streaming free, or do I have to pay $20 for it? That's all I need to know. And where is it out? Because I checked Prime. Well, it might be on Prime now. I didn't check it this week. If it's not too much, I might rent it. But again, I have to see because I'm still trying to finish Wednesday, and I'm still trying to finish Warrior Nuns too. So I am a little bit behind on stuff. But if there's things you recommend, please put it in the comments because people have been giving me some good like shows and series and movies to watch. So let me know if there's something you think I should check out because even if I can't get to it immediately, I still would like to see it. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. But what my plan for L Word season 3, sorry, Generation Q is I'm gonna watch Sunday's episode. So either Sunday night or Monday, I'm going to have a stream. More than likely, it's going to be Sunday night or Sunday afternoon, maybe late Saturday afternoon, because it's so much easier when it's fresh on my mind. Because I have seen the last few episodes. I have not seen the latest one that came out on Sunday. So if I'm going to talk about that, I think I did one for episode 1. So I think it's just 2 and 3, and maybe we're on 4 now. So I just need to do those 3 episodes as like an overview, like a season 3 so far type situation. And so I will talk about that. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that because I feel like it's easier for me when I have to do more than 1 episode to do it when it's fresh. So if I watch it that morning, I can do the stream that afternoon. So be on the lookout this Sunday. I will definitely post a link on Saturday on the community tab if I'm doing it on Sunday afternoon because I kind of want to get it out of the way so it's not just lingering over me because I have a lot. I have a lot of recording to do, so I just need to get in there and just do it. So, and it's on HBO Max. Awesome. I have HBO Max. So if it's so it's not out. Oh, it's not free yet. Okay, so I need to wait for it to stream on HBO Max. Okay, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna wait for it to stream. I did see also somebody asked me. I did see the Guardians of the Galaxy's holiday special. Effing hilarious. So I mean, I have no problem talking about that. It is absolutely stupid. So I loved every minute of it. I think that they're completely on crack, and so I am here for that. It was number 1 on iTunes. Huh. Okay. Well, I will yeah, thanks, Serenity. I'm definitely gonna check it. It's on my list of things to check out because I really enjoyed Shazam. Again, I don't know anything about the reviews, how well it did. I do know only one person on my last Stargirl stream did say that they thought it sucked. And I don't know what that was about, so I need to watch it for myself to see, what I thought about it. But I will. I will do that. All right, guys. It is the time for my girl to get back to work because the work doesn't stop. It just does not. But thank you for hanging out in the Stargirl stream. If I forgot something and we didn't talk about something, please put it in the comments below so we can keep this conversation going. Again, I am very unhappy that this show was canceled because they had so much potential and there's so many things they could have done. And just the name drops of Nebula Man and saving the 7 soldiers of victory, that alone piqued my interest. So they definitely deserved a season 4. So yeah, it's not fair that they got canceled, but it is what it is. You can't change destiny. But be on the lookout again for the L Word. And I promise you, once I get my schedule in lock and this estate crap is finally effing over, I will be normal again on this channel. It's been difficult. I will do an update video. I'll probably drag Kenny in here, maybe even later after I'm done recording. We'll see. But once you hear all the stuff going on, then maybe you can see why I'm losing my damn mind and why this videos aren't being posted and streams aren't being posted on the channel. But until that point, love you. Again, thank you for hanging out. You don't got to go home, but you can't stay here. And if it's day for you guys, have a very good day. If it is evening for you, have a very good evening. And I will see you in my next videos and my next streams. Bye, guys.